How are you guys doing? Today is Saturday, August 7th, 2021. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to do an elite individual profile on Kyler Murray. The elite starting quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals turns 24 today, and my intent with this episode is, of course, to provide context, give a little bit of understanding, and look into his accomplishments, his achievements, and just show just the type of player that he's been from the moment the spotlight hit him at Oklahoma, and even before then, to where he is right now as a player who's won the NFL Rookie of the Year and now has big-time players on his team and has big expectations to perform this upcoming season. So just to give a little bit of background, he originally comes out of Bedford, Texas. He, of course, was a big Texas athlete, and if you're familiar with Texas football, he played at Allen High School, which is one of those Texas high schools where like the boosters put thousands of dollars into the program with stadiums that are probably better than a lot of collegiate football stadiums. As a starting quarterback at Allen, he would win 3 straight state championships, and he had a 42-0 perfect record as a starting quarterback. And he did this all while being a top baseball prospect as well. He would establish himself as a good enough prospect to be taken originally to play with Texas A&M in 2015 under Kevin Sumlin, and in his freshman season, he would go on to play 8 games in a season where Texas A&M would end up going 8-5. They would eventually end up losing in the Music City Bowl to Louisville that season. But besides the point, in that season, Kyler Murray would complete about 59% of his passes for 687 yards and 5 touchdowns. He threw for 7 interceptions, so he threw for more interceptions than touchdowns. On the ground, he also ran for 300 yards, and he also ran for a touchdown, just to give a sense of what he was doing on the air and on the ground. Of course, he was not seen as the go-to player for the upcoming season, so he would eventually transfer to Oklahoma, and after taking the year of eligibility break, he would go on to play his sophomore season at Oklahoma in 2017. He would play 7 games in a season where Oklahoma would go on to lose to Georgia in the Rose Bowl. That was Lincoln Riley's first season, and that, I believe, was Baker Mayfield's season where Baker Mayfield took over. They would go on to finish as the 3rd best team in all of college football. And in that season, as a backup, he would go on to complete 18 of his 21 passes, completing 85% of his passes, throwing for 359 yards and 3 touchdowns. And then on the ground, he'd run for 142 yards, of course, really kind of playing in garbage time as Oklahoma was dominating their Big 12 opponents. He would get his moment to shine in his junior season for Oklahoma. And after those first 2 seasons, it would make sense if you didn't think that he would shine. But of course, Kyler Murray stepped into that role, and from the get-go with Lincoln Riley, he was rolling. In his very first season in his only season as the starting quarterback at Oklahoma in 2018 as a junior, he would start all 14 games for an Oklahoma team that would end up 12-2. They would finish as the 4th best team in the nation as they lost to Alabama in the Orange Bowl. But regardless, in that season, Kyler Murray would go on to complete 69% of his passes. Through the air, he threw for 4,361 yards alongside 42 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. That's just through the air. On the ground, he added 1,001 yards, so in total, that's 5,362 yards of scrimmage. And he also ran for 12 touchdowns, so adding it to his passing touchdowns, that would go for 54 total touchdowns on the season. He would go on to have 7 interceptions, and he would go on to fumble the ball, just the way that he was converting his scoring and yardage to get the Oklahoma team to one of the best teams in all of football, of course, was a testament to his play. And in 2018, he would go on to be named, of course, to the first team All Big 12. He will go on to be named the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year. He was named the AP College Football Player of the Year. He won the O'Brien Trophy, and he would go on to he would be named the Heisman Trophy winner in 2018. And not to mention that his baseball season was so good that in addition to being taken with the number 1 overall pick in 2019, not many people get to be the number 1 overall pick, hence why it's called the number 1 overall pick. And he was also taken with a first-round selection in the MLB draft. Kyler had an opportunity to choose the MLB, but with the time it would take him to get to the league, it just would the money wouldn't be there. And he actually would bet on himself as a college football quarterback when many pundits didn't necessarily believe in him because of his small size. But I mean, I guess they ignored the fact that he was an explosive athlete in college, but I digress. Kyler Murray would end up being taken with the number 1 overall pick in 2019 by the Arizona Cardinals. Other top picks, at least in that round, include Nick Bosa who was taken by the San Francisco 49ers at the 2nd pick. Josh Allen was taken by the Jaguars, the outside linebacker. And TJ Hawkinson, the Pro Bowl tight end for the Lions, was taken with the 8th overall pick in that round as well. Josh Jacobs was the first running back taken in that draft, as he was taken with the 24th overall pick by the Oakland Raiders. And of course, that's just the first round, just to give a hint, just to give a little bit more context into what that class was looking like. And going into his very first season with Arizona, a lot of pressure was on him. And in 2019, Kyler Murray would go on to start all 16 of the games that he would play for a Cardinals team that finished 5-10-1. They finished with the worst record in their division, but in Cliff Kingsbury's first season as the head coach of the Cardinals, Kyler Murray would go on to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year. Despite having a losing record, through the air, he would complete 64.4% of his passes for 3,722 yards. Through the air, he threw 20 touchdowns alongside 12 interceptions. He was actually sacked more than any other quarterback in football and still was named the Offensive Rookie of the Year. On the ground, he was able to add 544 yards, and he was able to add 4 touchdowns as well. So adding on to all of that, he was combining for a total of about 4,300 total all-purpose yards alongside 24 touchdowns in a 16-game season. And of course, the Cardinals would not make it to the playoffs, but many people would start to give Kyler Murray at least some of the respect that he deserves. And this would lead to this most recent season that he's played for the Arizona Cardinals. His second season in the league was his age 23 season in 2020, a season where that was affected by COVID to the point where fans were not allowed in the stands, I don't believe, until the playoffs. Don't quote me on that one. He would lead the Cardinals to an 8-8 record as he started all 16 games for the second season in a row. In his second season in 2020, he would actually be named to the Pro Bowl after completing 67% of his passes, throwing for 3,971 yards through the air, while additionally running for 819 yards on the ground, adding up to about 4,800 total yards of offense. He threw for 26 touchdowns and 12 interceptions, and also on the ground, he was able to add 11 touchdowns. So in total, he had 37 touchdowns on the year to help Arizona almost make the playoffs. They finished third in the NFC West, and that currently leads us to where we are now, showing that Kyler Murray is a player that at 24 already has been named the best player in his draft class after 1 year of college football, just to show how dynamic he is as a one-time athlete. The very next year, he was named the best player in his entire rookie class. In addition to being named the number 1 overall pick, he was the Offensive Rookie of the Year, the best offensive player in his class. And at the same time, he was named a Pro Bowler in his second year in the league. And so, I mean, every year he seems to get more. He seems to get more impressive, and I can't wait to see the kind of player that he grows into between this year and next. With that said, I want to first thank Pro Football Reference, College Football Reference, for giving me the facts and the figures that I needed in order to do this episode. I, of course, want to wish Kyler Murray a happy 24th birthday. If you haven't seen Kyler Murray is currently wearing number 1 for the Arizona Cardinals, a team that very well could be in the playoff hunt after acquiring some very big-time players. And now he is one of the best wide receivers in DeAndre Hopkins that he's had for a year now. So it'll be very interesting to see what he does in the next year moving forward. But like I said, I just can't wait to see what it looks like. I want to thank everyone for listening to all 10 minutes of this piece. I hope all is well. And hopefully by this time next year, by Kyler Murray's 25th birthday, there'll be more to talk about. With that said, I hope all is well and peace out. I'll catch you with another episode on Kyler Murray next year. Today is Saturday, August 7th, 2021. I'm James Sims. Thanks for listening to my piece. I hope all is well and peace out. I'll catch you with more episodes of The Elite tomorrow after today's exhibitions and matchups are done.